In the mindfulness field, I meet a lot of mindfulness teachers, facilitators, therapists, educators who are trained in some of the standardized protocols, which often involve a lot of sitting still with eyes closed and just noticing. And they come to me because either they themselves are finding that difficult to do, or they're working with clients who are definitely finding that difficult to do, or for whom it may even be contraindicated, unsafe to do these kinds of practices. And so, what I've been working on for the last 20 years is ways of doing mindfulness differently. And the key thing that these therapists often say to me is, am I allowed? Am I allowed to do it differently? They have fears and worries about extending their practices or what they're offering to their clients outside the standardized protocols. Now, if you want to hear more of my opinions on the standardized protocols and implementation fidelity, you can check out my other video. But essentially, the people I've been working with over the last 20 years, it's actually been about increasing confidence in doing what you're probably already intuitively feeling into as a way in which you can adapt the mindfulness practices to be safer and more effective for your clients. So there's two ways that I help people to increase their confidence. And I'm going to say a little bit about that in this video. And this will give you a flavor of how I've been working over the last 20 years. And I really believe that this way of working is what's needed in our world now, where there's so much complexity, so much trauma, so many therapists themselves are a bit burnt out and needing help. The first is we need to think more broadly about what is mindfulness. I've written a whole book on that, but in a nutshell, we have the John Kabat-Zinn definition of mindfulness, which is in the first paragraph of every single paper that you will read in English about a mindfulness-based study or a mindfulness-based approach. It's a good definition, paying attention on purpose, moment by moment, without judging. Where the majority of my clients are and many of the people that I supervise are, this is a million miles away from where we're actually at. All of those things are impossible for us to do. Paying attention, no. On purpose, hard. Moment by moment, yeah, but I've been distracted 50 times. Without judgment, actually, no, I'm expert at judging myself. So it's a great definition, but it's a million miles away from where we're at. So how we work in body and mind training is we kind of play with the definitions. Let's play with the definitions till we can find something that really lands. And so one of the ways that I define mindfulness is care plus attention to prevent future harm. Really simple, simplified definition. Let's talk about that. Is that something that you want to do? Yeah, is that something that's going to be helpful for you? You're in a forensic unit working with clients with forensic mental health problems. Care plus attention to prevent future harm. Can we both get on board with that? And then let's figure out how we're going to do it in a way that works for you. Yeah. We also think about mindfulness differently because we think about it in terms of what does my brain need to do? What does my brain need to do in order to be mindful? And then let's start thinking about, well, where's my brain already at? And what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? Yeah, we call these functional definitions of mindfulness, and functional definitions that allow us to de-chunk things and break things down, so then we can start to see where's the wiggle room. Yeah, you're definitely not going to do this whole process, but where's the wiggle room? Where can we start exploring and experimenting in line with something that is really important to you? So some similarities here with ACT and DBT kind of approaches. If you're a DBT therapist, you're probably hearing, I call it the de-chunking. I think you call it chain analysis in DBT. If you're an ACT worker, you're probably thinking, oh, that sounds a bit like the values-based approach. Yes, it is the values-based approach, kind of in there, like why is care plus attention to prevent future harm something that you're interested in? If it's not, then probably mindfulness is not for you. If it is, let's start diving into that. Yeah, so like really getting creative with the definitions. The second piece is second piece is broadening the understanding of what is a movement. So of course, when you say mindful movement, what happens in the default mode network? What happens in the brain? What happens in the brain is you think yoga, tai chi, moving body. Okay, mindful walking, the mindful stretching, the mindful yoga. I mean, of course, we're thinking about gross bodily movements often. And then the therapists get in a little bit of a panic mode because they go, I'm not a PT, I'm not a yoga teacher. The NHS says I'm not allowed to get people to move in the session because I have to sign a waiver and I'm not insured to get people to move. I mean, there's a lot of panic about doing the gross physical, the big physical movements. But what if? What if we think about movements differently? Movements can be mental movements, emotional movements, small movements, movements that have functionality, like reaching and grasping for my coffee cup, movements that are about how do I want to move through the world. So one of my favorite exercises I do with my clients is, how do you want to move through the world? I'll give my own example. How I used to move through the world was as an absolute sweaty mess. I was always late, I was rushing, I was running, and I was sweating. And I was arriving, huffing, puffing, sweating. I was quite famous for that in the Institute of Psychiatry. Like, oh, there's Tamara running through the canteen, sweating and shouting hello to everybody. It's not bad or wrong, but as I've matured, I'm like, I don't really want to move through the world like that. Like, I am a serious person. I want to be appreciated by my colleagues. And now more, I want to move through the world with ease and kindness. That's where I'm at now. I recognize I was moving through the world in a way that wasn't sustainable. It was like frightening other people. And it wasn't dignified, probably. Not that this matters. We're all just where we're at. But now I'm like, I'm getting interested in this inquiry. How do I want to move through the world? So is this mindfulness? Well, this is what we explore in the ways that I teach. But that's just a little example. Another example might be the compassionate to-do list. That's more at the day-to-day level. How do I want to move through my day today? How am I going to weave self-care, mindfulness, paying attention, increasing my focused attention? How am I going to do that all through my day? So that, I would call that, the high level of that is broadening the understanding of what is a movement in order to then see where's the wiggle room, where can we just put in some little bits of mindfulness. And so then it turns out that we don't need to sit on a cushion for 45 minutes a day to be getting those reps in, those repetitions that we need for neuroplasticity. We're doing it every single day, every single movement, every single task that we approach. We're starting to weave the mindfulness through. So these are the two ways that I do mindfulness differently. One, thinking in a more brain-wise way, a more functional way about what is mindfulness. That's number one. Number two, thinking in a broader way what a movement actually is. So if you like the sound of this, please do keep in touch. I've got a guide for you that you can access by typing down below, give me the guide, and I'll send to you, I've got a kind of like a 10-point plan, which is what I would do if I was you and I was starting out and I was thinking, how am I going to bring mindful movement into my sessions with my clients with confidence, with creativity, grounded in assessment, formulation, intervention, experimentation. Write down in the box, in the description below, and I'll send you that guide. If you like this content, please do like, there's a little thumbs up, subscribe, there's a button. And if you've got colleagues in your network who might be interested in this, please do share. Take care.